My name is Robb. I play in a band called The Membranes, and I do a website called Louder Than War.
How important is Music Venues Trust?
I think it's very important. I've spent 30, 40 years touring on the circuit, and what always struck me was how isolated all the venues were. So any problems that people would have, it was their own problems. If somebody's trying to shut you down in a small town, it's you versus the council. You had no chance. But what I really like about this, it's like a trade union for people who run venues. So you can just speak to other people who have the same problem. The bigger your gang, the louder your voice, isn't it? And that's what I really like about this.
What are you hoping to tell people today in this Venues Day?
Well, the panel I'm doing today is about safety in venues, which is quite an issue now on a lot of different levels. You know, with terrorism, it's one level. Also, the women's organisations trying to stop the groping that's going on at gigs. And also this general idea that, I just speak to Frank Turner about this, the idea, basically you play kind of punk rock orientated music, you're walking on stage going, right, let's have a riot, but not that much. So where do you have the parameters? You want people to go wild and lose all the inhibitions, have a crazy time, but also to respect other people, and it's kind of, somehow we have to get that balance, don't we? I think we will, because most people, we go to gigs are good people, you know, so some people are probably so ignorant they don't really realise they shouldn't really be doing that. And if somebody says that's not really on, they'll go, okay, I'm going to stop doing it. And that's what you're relying on, that kind of general good nature of people without stopping them having a really wild time.
If you could say one thing to fans of live music about small music venues, what would that be?
I would say go to them as much as you can, really. I don't know it's hard because people haven't got a lot of money and people haven't got a lot of time. But if you're young, you've got a bit more of both those things. Well, not the money thing. But if you can get to gigs, support the bands, support the venues, get to know the venues as well, you know. Like buying records, it's always good to buy them off an independent shop and then buy them off a chain. If you go to a venue, a small venue, it's a community, and I think community is important in music. You get to know the people putting the gigs on there, people who run the venue, even also people on the door. Always be polite to people on the door, because their job's not great, is it, standing in the rain all night trying to stop drunks fighting? I mean, there should be friendly environments where we celebrate the magic of live music, and when people support them, it keeps it going. Also, if you don't support small venues, you won't have any bands. You know, as much as the old bands are still great, we don't want to see them to the end of our lives. We need the new bands coming through, don't we? The next generation of 30-year-olds who can headline Glastonbury are this week playing a small venue to 5 people. Don't get down there, make it 7 people. Take a friend. Yeah.
And as an artist, would you have any advice for small venues themselves?
I think, I would get involved in Music Venue Trust and find out how to run a venue properly. Now, the level of competence in venues, like the level of competence in bands, has risen drastically in the last few years. When I started touring in the 70s and early 80s, a lot of the venues weren't very good, you know, and people didn't really know what they were doing. They didn't know how to promote gigs. Is it just basic things? I don't know. Very few bands want to be treated like massive rock stars. They're the weird people. The rest of us just need basic stuff, you know, which you wouldn't get in the old days. You know, really basic things. You go around Europe, and if you ask for a bit of food and you're not asking for anything fancy, you'll get it. And that happens in England now. But in the 80s, you wouldn't get that. You know, it's like that'd be like, oh, no, we're not giving you that. You go, well, it's Doncaster. It's 6 o'clock at night. Nothing's open. I can't eat nothing. You know. So on those levels is good, you know. And also working together is really important. If you're a band, you work with the venue. You're not working against the venue. And it seemed like in the 70s and early 80s, it's almost like a competition between the two. Whereas now, if a promoter rang me up and offered me too much money, I would say that's too much money. Let's work on this and make a good show. I want the max amount of people in there to play to have a really good night, really good fun. And I want the venue to make money as well. And if I'm listening to them and they know their town better than me, I have ideas and I do things as well. And if we work together, and we are working together, it makes it better. And I think Music Venue Trust is quite central to that idea, because it involves a lot of musicians, people like me in it as well, you know. And you know, there's always like little things you need. You know, there may be a venue they haven't got plugs on the stage or something like that, you know, like utterly basic stuff, but no one's ever thought of it. So it's good to have that pool of information. Nobody's claimed to be an expert. Everyone just say, to do a brilliant show, I need this, this and this, you know. So we chuck ideas in. If they can't afford it, we go, okay, let's work around that problem.